Hello, my fine feathered friends. I hope you're all doing well. Today, I have a bonus video for you today. I know I haven't been streaming, but I hope this mildly makes up for it. So, on Instagram, I saw someone that I followed, Lizzie, Lizzi, Sims, Simss. So there's two S's at the end of her name, and you saw it at the very beginning of this recording, but I will also put it in the description. She, on Instagram, is running a renovation challenge, and I have never done a renovation challenge before, so I decided that I wanted to take a stab at this and see what I could come up with for a remodeled teen room. And I'm going to read from her description. This child is aging up into a teen and needs a bedroom renovation to fit their new style and interest. Please redecorate this child's bedroom into something suitable for a teen. Must be gender neutral. And one of the other things about it is that they should have like a hobby. So, of course, I went ham. I went wild and ran with this. So, what you're seeing here right now, I've chucked a ton of things out of the bedroom because I knew that I wanted to use some of the items that were already in the room as decor pieces and kind of like tie it all in. I decided to get rid of the decals, and originally I was going to keep the dressers that Lizzie chose, and then I decided that that did not match what I wanted to do in my head. So my whole idea for this was, because it's September, because it's fall in the northern hemisphere, and you know, I'm just feeling the cozy spirit, I decided that I wanted to do like a warm fall toned teenager room that was more focused on like books and I mean just kind of like a bookworm teenager, because a lot of times I see people do ones where it's a musician or like they work with the scientist pieces that they have for teens, and I decided that I wanted to go really what my room was as a teenager, though arguably not as even close to as cute as I think that this ended up being. So, you'll see me here. I'm trying to pick some warm tones that go together. We had pack limitations. We couldn't use toddler stuff, my first pet stuff, kids room stuff, romantic garden stuff, or luxury party. And for this, I think I managed to keep it to just Seasons, Realm of Magic, like maybe Get to Work. I think those are the only three that I used. Maybe City Living for a chair. Not sure. It will obviously be in the gallery because that's a part of the upload for it. So, thought process for this. I decided, like I said before, that I wanted to keep some of these items that had been placed before and make them work within the theme itself. And because it has to be gender neutral, I decided that I wanted to kind of keep the same items but switch up the tones for everything. Like maybe they had ripped up the carpet and exposed the hardwood floors, and then the teenager had decided that they wanted to go ahead and make the colors a little bit more neutral, a little bit just a room that could be transformed. I think that this would easily work for a sim who was going from a kid to a teenager, but also maybe into young adult if they were in college. I think this room would work really well, actually. And I swear that the end goal ended up being 11,000 simoleons for just this room. It didn't have to be functional, but I'm fairly certain that you can still get in and out of the bed that I end up choosing. I at first went for a single bed, but it just seemed like it didn't. This room is big. Like a single bed just seemed like it didn't take up as much space as I wanted it to, so I end up changing that to a bed. Well, I think I go through multiple iterations, but it does end up being a bed from Seasons. I do know that because I sync it into its own little like custom headboard, because there was two things that I wanted to do in this room. We couldn't add walls on the exterior, like we couldn't expand what the room was, and we couldn't change the window placements. So my grand idea for this was to work around the windows here and kind of seem like it was a full renovation, like the parents had gone in and decided to change up some of the tones and colors of everything and really make it feel a little bit more homey, make it feel a little bit older. It's definitely more teen than preteen, and I've seen a few entries and they're all really, really good, and some people have gone for the preteen route, but I definitely went more teen, young adult. So a lot of this stuff does change at the end, but you can kind of see the items that I decided to keep during this build. This basket, I kept some of the clutter items that you're seeing around, like there's a little owl nightlight that I keep, and there's a ton of stuff cluttering that dresser, and the dresser stays there, and so does that mirror that I added. I tried to pick furniture that felt like it was a little bit older, a little bit used, so it fit in with the narrative of, you know, people were using this as a way to maybe get some secondhand furniture or use some stuff that was already around the house. And I wanted to keep the stuffed animals that were in here because I thought they were really cute. So I wanted to keep that, and I just really like that dragon stuffed animal, and it seemed like it fit in with the cozy theme that I was trying to go for. Kept the My Sims that's there. I'm just kind of trying to take inventory of everything. When I was building this, it took me about an hour to do this one room, which I've never done a singular room build before, like a reno challenge, so it was really fun to sit down and kind of work with the items that were already here and the constraints that I had. I didn't want to totally gut it. It didn't really feel right, I guess, to totally gut it and make it seem like it was a totally new room. I really wanted to keep it in the same kind of theme and feeling that was originally the room, because it didn't seem right to have a sim, you know, they were supposed to be growing up with this room and then suddenly decide that none of it was right, because I don't know any time that I've ever redone my room and not kept items that I previously had in it. So as you can see, I'm adding in a bookshelf because at this point I'm finally realizing that I do want to do a bookworm sim. So I'm adding in some spare papers, some things that were just sitting around. I decided to put this little owl on one of the shelves, putting the My Sim up at the top. There'll be a plant up at the top, but I think I add that later. I put in the little basket because it seemed like it just fit in with the color scheme that I ended up doing. And I think that this bookshelf specifically, I don't know which pack this came with, but I think that it fits in really well for like an adding things to it because there's so many gaps in this shelf in particular. It seems like it fits a little bit better to kind of use bb.move objects and move things on. And I put the teddy bear on the bed and it stays there. It stays when I switch the bed too, because I just thought it was cute and it doesn't have to be functional. So I decided to get a little bit wild. There's always no CC in this build. Like I said, I didn't change any of the walls. I just changed the color of the windows and changed the window dressings and kind of took what was here and ran with it. Here I am trying to figure out how to build a headboard, and let me tell you, my first trial run on this headboard is horrendous, and I kind of wanted to keep it in the build to show you guys that even though I really like my builds, when I'm finished with them, sometimes I do things and I'm like, this looks really bad. Like I was testing things out and this clearly did not work because it's glitching, and I like the idea of these panels from, I think that's Get Famous, but it did not work in practice, so that does get deleted. Now you're finally seeing me realize that I can add in a double-sided bed and have it fit in a little bit better. Though I know that that's kind of a rare thing in anywhere other than America, or at least I've heard that that's the case. I could very well not be, but when I was growing up, I think I only had a twin bed through, I don't know, maybe like 7 or 8, and then afterwards I ended up having a full-size bed. I still have a full-size bed, so that's I think that's a double everywhere, but it may not be. And I thought that our lovely teenager needed a little desk there, and I put in I put the dragon over there because it seemed like the kind of spot that would fit a giant stuffed animal, because the door is supposed to remain where that little half moon rug is, so I kept it there so I could remember where the entrance and exit was. So I kind of shoved it over there in the corner. And I think that this is a really cute room. I would be interested to see a whole family house designed in this style, because it very much feels like the room of someone who is kind of grown up in the same house their whole life, and they just kind of have things scattered around. I added a ton of books everywhere. I was trying to get the angle right on that journal. There's that journal, and then I put another one on the dresser that you can kind of see in the lower right hand corner right now. And then here I was trying to find a seat because it felt like the room was missing a place for like friends to come over and sit, and obviously for a place to sit at the desk. And since I didn't have to make it usable, I decided I wanted to do a chair that looked like it had been moved maybe from an older section of the house, and the teenager was like, you know what, I'll take this. So yeah, I do end up liking this. I wanted to see if I could add in at the end of the bed. I'm testing out a few things right here, and I think this might work in a tiny build, but it just wasn't in this build. I was trying to see if I could add like a freestyle framing around this bed, because I love this one from Seasons. You can sink it into the walls and kind of make it seem like it's just the pillow leaning against the wall, but then at the same time I like how platform beds look. I know that that's a very popular way to do beds now, especially like with platforms and little, I don't even know what you call them, like the things that people use when they're carrying things to stores. Yeah, I just totally blanked, but you probably know what I'm talking about. But lifting a bed up like that makes it look a little funny in Sims, and I still really wanted to, in theory, have this fit together. So I was trying to figure out if I could set it back and have it look like it was almost a Murphy bed, or could have been one if you finished off the walls there and maybe had it appear as if it lifted up, because I don't think the Murphy beds in game look very nice, all things considered. I think that we should have been able to pull the bed out and slot another one in if we really wanted to, because it doesn't make much sense to me to just have one bed to pick from and a very limited amount of color swatches, just as like another thing for me to complain about The Sims. But yeah, here I am adding a bunch of books and things. I found these, and I love these from Cats and Dogs, and I was like, well, I could put them at the top of the dresser, and I love how this ended up looking. I've never done this before, but I think it really does just look like someone has come into this room and they've got so many books everywhere that they've just kind of tossed everywhere. This is exactly how my room looked like as a teenager, and it still looks like now. Like, I just have books everywhere, and this is one of those things where I was trying to figure out if I could add in some little details, like the clothes on the floor that didn't quite make it to the hamper, and the hamper of clean clothes that didn't quite make it into the dresser. I think those little touches do make it feel like a teen room, and little baskets and things everywhere that kind of make it seem like wherever the person is, or whoever the person is who lives in this room, just kind of tried to figure out ways to solve the storage crisis that they were going through because they had too much stuff. So I thought this was cute. I used some of the new base game. They're not really new, they were from an update a little bit ago. Paintings against the wall to try to cover up some of the like batting along the bottom, and then I did some BB.move objects to make some things fit on the edge of the desk, like they were trying to stay organized but weren't really doing a good job. The laptop in there, added some magazines from Machino Stuff to the floor because I just was desperate to find more and more options for books. I really wanted to layer a ton of these rugs together and make it seem like they'd just thrown things down. Whatever cheap rug they could find that matched the color scheme that they wanted to do. And yeah, we're almost towards the end of it. I'm just doing some final touches right now, and you'll see in the screenshots at the end that I changed the colors a little bit so it's a little bit more warm toned. But I really enjoyed doing this. I really think that I want to do some more renovation builds like this, maybe comb through the gallery and see if I can find stuff or stream a renovation series, because I know a lot of times people will upload houses that are in disrepair, and I think that that would be really fun to sit down and try. Oh, and then I realized that this room had no lighting, so here I was trying to find a lamp that looked like it was cheap and like a teenager had had to spend their own money on it. So I picked this one that came with flea market stuff from City Living. And yeah, and then I was like, oh, I need more seating, and then I also need plants. So towards the end, I add some plants everywhere because it did feel like it was a little bit too dark, especially with the walls open on one end. I've never done a dollhouse build, but it was really challenging to get the lighting to work with me and work with how I wanted it to be. You've probably watched, but I was desperate to find something to fit in this window seat because I like sinking things into window seats, especially that what's it called, settee from the Cats and Dogs game pack that actually fits into bay window areas. I like using that, but it didn't feel like it fit in with this room because I was trying to keep within the realm of constraints of what would happen if you did redo a room that you had been staying in since you were a kid. So yeah, we're getting to the point where I'm like, all right, what else does this room need? What other decorations do I need to add? Adding stuff to this little poof here. I was trying to keep things gender neutral, so I wanted to do these documents at first that came with Strangerville, and ended up throwing those on the floor like they just kind of fell out of the backpack. And I think I end up putting some things from Parenthood on here. Yeah, some Parenthood things that like maybe they carry back and forth with them to their bathroom things. They share it with a bunch of their family members, so they have to keep some of their beauty and grooming supplies inside their own room. And I added some pumpkins because it's September and I wanted it to be cozy and cute. Added some things from Seasons. Like I said, just trying to add little baskets and things everywhere. I don't know if I've seen a teenager's room recently. I am very much aged out of that category. But I think I can safely say that when I was a teenager, I just had baskets of crap everywhere. Whether or not it was useful or whether or not I would use it, I just had things everywhere. So I ended up putting some plants in the window. You could very easily write that off if you put this in a build that you had a family decided for it. As the mom came in, or the dad, after gardening and decided that their child needed some fresh air and plants in their room, because it very much looks like this room is filled to the brim. If I could have added walls to the other edges, I would have spread out some of these posters and added some more to the other walls. I probably would have put some of those little LED lights that I have hanging above the bed right there along the top of the walls to make it feel a little bit warmer and a little bit cozier. But you will see in the screenshots at the end that I changed the overhead lighting and the lamp lighting to orange, just to kind of make it a little bit warmer, make it feel like it fit a little bit better. Then I decided that I wanted to keep the wow, the curtains. I'm just totally out of my element. The curtains as just one side, because it seemed like it fit. It seemed like it was just as kind of casual and chaotic as the rest of the room was. I didn't change the way any of the postcards were. I just changed the color of the little baby shoes up there and tried to make it seem like maybe the teenager came in and was like, all right, I'll paint this frame, or I'll switch out, you know, X, Y, and Z in here. And finding wood tones that fit with each other is always a time and a half, I feel like. So I'm just adding what I can, little bits here and there, trying to keep it as gender neutral but warm and very bookwormy as possible. I very much imagine that this sim is one that would graduate with all A's and all the parenthood achievements, and then decide to go to college for like education or psychology or maybe even just writing in general. And there you go. There are the screenshots. So thank you guys so much for watching. Check out the Instagram that I've linked below that did this challenge. You can enter through October 1st. So thank you very much. Bye.